let's go ahead and get started in a seated position. And you can sit however you like. We're just gonna kind of get tuned in for a moment. So a nice straight spine, relaxed shoulders, relaxed jaw, closed eyes, deep inhale through the nose, deep exhale through the mouth, and then all nose breathing if possible. Nice, slow, deep inhales and exhales through the nose, ujjayi breathing if you can. And so that just kind of signals to us that it's time to settle into our skin, to kind of draw our awareness in around us and inside of us so that we can be really present in our bodies as we move through our asana practice. So noticing how your body's feeling, noticing all the feelings, all the sensations. Noticing any thought processes, noticing any emotions, noticing what your energy feels like this morning, noticing how connected you feel to yourself and to everyone and everything around you and above you. And then using all of that information to set your intention for practice this morning, bringing your palms together in front of your heart. Pausing to decide what would benefit you most. What do you most need from your practice? And when you're clear on that, deep inhale. Big exhale. You release your hands and just transition onto hands and knees. I'm going to ease you into your practice this morning. Arching the back in cow as you inhale, rounding the back in cat as you exhale. So cat, cow, just following your breath with your movement. Let's do it a couple more times. Just loosening up your spine. And then go ahead and turn your toes under and move into downward facing dog. Now feel free to pedal the feet a little bit or do some movement if you need to. I always like to think of the first downward facing dog as informative, exploratory, like it lets us know what's going on in our bodies and we can kind of explore a little deeper if we need to. And then take a breath or two here to just really start to lengthen your spine. So those hips start really pressing up and back. The heels are pressing down, the palms are nice and flat. And then you can just slowly walk your feet forward. Keep your knees bent and hang in ragdoll. So neck is relaxed, head is just dangling. It's a great place to make sure you're still doing deep, slow ujjayi breaths. And on your next inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead, stretch up. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. As you exhale, lengthen your spine, folding forward. Inhale as you look up halfway. And then exhale all the way back down. Let's step back with our left leg. And just come into our lunge for a moment, allowing the thighs to separate a little bit. Let's drop the left knee down to the mat. Bring the right hand on the inside of the right knee. So your hips should be sinking forward a little bit. You want to roll onto the outside edge of your right foot and then apply some gentle pressure on the inside of the right knee or thigh. So we're just kind of starting to get into a little hip sensation here. Go ahead and extend your right leg now. Let that right hand come back outside the right foot. As much as you can, you get the right leg straight. You flex your ankle and toes. You pull your chest forward. Take a couple breaths. Bend your right knee. Let's bring both hands to the top of the right thigh. Tailbone tucks under, hips press forward. We take a moment and find the stretch in the front of the left hip, and then I want you to kind of dial it in, taking that left arm up and reaching back a little bit, maybe even reaching a little to the right, so you're just kind of getting a little bit deeper stretch. Both hands come down inside the right foot. Come onto your left forearm or a block, perhaps the right one as well. And make sure that your right inner thigh is kind of hugging in towards your torso. Take a breath here. And then just plant your hands and step back to plank. Hold your plank for a moment. So we want to make sure our core wakes up. The core is, of course, everything. The stronger your core, the better the rest of your practice becomes. On your next exhale, let's modify and drop down knees, chest, and chin. Just pausing for a moment in this posture of humility. Untucking the toes, flattening out, and allowing the arms to come forward for Sphinx. So we're going to lengthen out in our Sphinx here. Big toes touching, heels are dropping open, shoulders are down the back, and we're pulling, actually pulling some length into the low back. Take one more breath here. And then move into your downward facing dog. On this down dog, you want to really press the hips up and back, stretch. And then take a big step forward with your left foot coming into your lunge. We're going to drop the right knee down. Bring the left hand to the inside of your left knee. Roll onto the outside edge of the left foot. Hips should be sinking forward slightly. Press on that knee to get a little bit of hip sensation. And then we're just going to extend the left leg and get our hamstring stretch on. Flex the ankle and toes, pull your heart forward. The left leg should be as straight as possible. Go ahead and bend the left knee now. We're going to bring both hands to the top of the left thigh. Tuck your tailbone under, sink your hips, find your stretch, and then take just that right arm up and kind of dial it in. So you're trying to maybe lean back a little, maybe a little to the left. You just kind of have to feel your way into it. We're going to bring both hands down to the mat inside that left foot. Come on to the right forearm and or left. Left inner thigh is hugging in towards your torso. Hands come back onto the mat and we step forward to a standing forward bend. Inhale, raising the arms up and overhead, stretching up and maybe even back a little bit. Exhaling, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up and stretch. And as you exhale, lengthen and come into your forward bend. Inhale, halfway up, chest pulling forward. Exhale all the way back down. So we're going to step back with the right foot. Nice left foot forward lunge. Just hold this for a moment. And go ahead and drop your right knee down again. So this time we're going to take both arms up in the air. Tuck the tailbone, let the hips sink forward. You might want to keep the toes of your right foot, your back foot turned under. Once you find the stretch on the front of your right thigh, I'd like you to take your right hand back behind you. Now it's different for everybody and you're welcome to use a block if you've got one, but you're trying to get your right hand towards your right heel. It may not make it, and if you need to, you can keep your right hand at the hip. But we're going to reach that left arm up and back. Take a couple breaths here. Come all the way back up. Bring your hands on either side of your left foot. Gaze forward and extend that left leg. A little bit of a counter pose. And we're going to go even a little deeper. So bend your left knee again. Keep those toes turned under on the right foot. Let's go and bring the arms up and overhead. Tuck the tailbone, sink the hips forward. Now, this time, let's see what it feels like to bring the left hand behind us onto the right calf or foot. Hips are sinking forward, and that right arm is reaching back. I am particularly tight this morning, so I've got my left hand on my right thigh instead of my right calf. You guys do what feels best for you. We're going to take one more breath here. And then bring the hands down to the mat. Step back to plank position. Now let's take our first full-on vinyasa. Do it however you need to. Just make sure that you're following your breath with your movements. As you get to your downward facing dog, take advantage of the opportunity to truly lengthen your spine, press those heels down. So really it's a full back body stretch. You're creating space between your shoulder blades, space between your neck and your tailbone, space between your sit bones and your heels. So your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, and your back are all stretching. Take a big step forward with your right foot. Hold your lunge for a moment. Drop your left knee down and come up with both arms up and overhead. Remember, you may want to keep the toes of your left foot tucked under. That's your back foot. Tuck your tailbone. Sink your hips forward. Honor your body, only do what's best for you. Left hand can be at the left hip if it needs to. If you're able, reach back for your calf or your heel, and please feel free to use a block. Hips move forward now as we reach that right arm back. Come up with hands on either side of the right foot. Gaze forward as you extend your right leg. A little counter pose here, getting back into the right hamstring. And then we take it a little deeper. Bend your right knee again. Bring the arms up and overhead. Tuck your tailbone under. And so again, we're going to see what it feels like now to take the right hand back. Some of you guys are going to get your right hand to your left heel or calf. I'm going to put my right hand on the back of my left thigh. That just seems to be where I'm at this morning. Please honor your body. Hips continue to sink forward, left arm reaches back. And then bring both hands down and step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up, stretch up, maybe even back. Exhale, lengthen your spine as you fold forward. Inhale, pulling the chest forward in your half forward bend, coming up halfway. Exhale, folding all the way back down. Step back with your left foot. Please modify if you need to, so you can drop your left knee. We're going to bring both arms up and overhead. So if you're able to do the higher lunge, that's preferable. Tailbone tucks, chest is lifting, and we start letting the hips drop. If you can, open to your right. Now just play with this, only do what feels good to you. If you can, the right hand that's reaching behind you touches your left thigh, you're going to take your left arm up. It's kind of like what I was doing kneeling earlier. You may be able to get your right hand closer to your knee or calf. Take one more breath. Bring your left hand all the way down to the mat and take your right hand to the ceiling. And then bring the right hand outside the right leg, gaze forward, and straighten your right knee, lengthening your chest forward. So just starting to work a little deeper here. Take one more deep breath in and out. And then bend your right knee again and bring your right hand inside the right foot. Again, modify if you need to, but if you're able to keep your left knee up, we're going to go into a deeper lizard. So left forearm and or right come to the ground. And then we come back up onto the hands. Excuse me, we step back to plank and flow through a vinyasa. So if you're doing a traditional vinyasa, your plank is your inhale. Your chaturanga dandasana is your exhale. Your cobra or upward facing dog is your inhale. And your downward facing dog is your exhale. Step forward with your left foot. We'll do lunge for a moment. Remember that for this whole series, if you need to, you can modify by dropping your knee. Otherwise, we raise the arms up and overhead, coming into our high lunge, tucking the tailbone under, sinking the hips. Taking a breath here to open a little deeper in that right front hip. If it's okay with your body, on your next exhale, you're going to open to the left a little bit. Maybe take your left hand to the back of the right thigh and reach the right arm up and back. Hands come down either side of that left foot. Gaze forward. Straighten your left leg, lengthen your spine. Bend your left knee again. Bring your left hand to the inside of the left foot. Right forearm comes down. Hopefully the left one is moving in that direction if it's not already on the ground. Let me take a couple of breaths here. Come back up onto your hands. Step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach your arms up. As you exhale, fold forward. Look up halfway. And then back down. You're going to step your left leg back, spin the heel flat, adjust your feet if you need to. You are going to come up into a warrior one. So whatever your best expression of warrior one is, find that. Good. From your warrior one, we continue to play a little bit. We're going to take the right hand back to the back of the left thigh and reach that left arm up. You'll notice it's just a more stable version of what you were doing earlier. Keep the pelvis tilted back. Come back up. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Fold forward for humble warrior. Right shoulder on right thigh. Relax the neck. Reach the arms up and overhead. Now, as you come out of this, you'll probably need to adjust your feet, maybe not. You're going to come up, straightening your right leg, releasing the arms, kicking the left hip to the left, and lengthening out for a triangle pose. So if you need to adjust your feet like you would for a warrior two, please do that. Be mindful of your alignment. And then you're going to come up and bend the knee, and you will be in warrior two. And we're just going to reverse our warrior. So your left hand should be on your left thigh. Your right arm reaches up and over. Come all the way up and take your hands to the mat. As you inhale, step your right leg back to plank. As you exhale, lower down. As you inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. From our down dog, we're going to take the left foot forward. Right heel spins flat, adjust your feet, and rise up, warrior one. So we just kind of take a moment and try and make sure we're in our best warrior one this morning. And it's different every day. Our best changes from day to day. We're just looking for that. From here, we're going to go ahead and take the left arm behind us onto the right thigh. Reach the right arm back. Tailbone stays tucked. Come on up from that, interlace the fingers behind the back. Squeeze your shoulder blades, fold forward. Left shoulder to left thigh. Neck relaxes, arms reach up and overhead. So remember, as you're coming up from this, you may need to adjust the feet. We're going to rise up, straightening the left leg, releasing the arms out to the side, kicking the right hip to the right, and lengthening out for a triangle pose. And then come all the way up, bending your left knee, warrior two, and reversing your warrior, taking your right hand to your right thigh, reaching the left arm up and over. Take those hands all the way down to the mat. Step back to plank. Follow your breath through your vinyasa. And just take a couple of extra breaths here in your downward facing dog to lengthen the entire back side of the body. So remember, a little bit of space between the shoulder blades, a lot of space between the neck and the tailbone, space between sit bones and knees and heels, everything lengthening. And then you can either walk or jump forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So you're going to be doing a variation on a dancer pose today. It's not going to look as beautiful as the traditional one, but you should feel it very nicely. So instead of grabbing the same foot with our hand, we're going to go opposite hand to foot and really try and get the opening on the front of the hip and the front of the shoulder. So I'd like for you to stand on your left foot first today. And that means that your right hand is going to go up in the air. Remember, it's opposite. Your left hand is going to reach back and grab your right foot. Once you get it, tuck the tailbone under, lift the chest, just like we always do, and push the foot way back behind you. Now, it's up to you if you want to lean into it at all, but maintain the openness and stretch. And just so you know, you probably will not go as deep, and that's fine. Come back up and release. Now, standing on the right foot, your left arm is up in the air. So your right hand is going to reach back for your left foot. Tuck your tailbone under. So you're tilting the pelvis back. This is to create space in the front of the hip. Once you do that, you lift your rib cage and you start pressing the leg back. And then it's up to you if you lean into it. You don't have to lean. We're looking for opening, the sensation of opening. From here, we come all the way back up. Release the left foot down. Feet together, palms together. Take a big inhale. Reach the arms up, interlace the fingers, palms press up towards the ceiling. Lift your chest up. Reach just the arms back. It'll kind of feel like an armpit stretch. Then keep lifting the chest, and only if it feels okay with your body, you're going to roll your rib cage back a little bit. We're here for 3 more deep breaths. So please keep compression out of the low back by keeping the pelvis tilted and the rib cage lifted. On your next inhale, come up. As you exhale, hinge at your hips. Fold forward into your standing forward bend. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Walk or jump back to plank. Flow through your vinyasa. And then from your downward facing dog, go ahead and drop down to your knees and come up to kneeling. So we're going to do a little half camel, full camel. Just be mindful of your body. Remember, if it doesn't want to do everything this morning that it normally does, that's cool. Your body will always tell you the truth. So maybe the hands are going to stay on the hips today. Maybe they'll reach for the heels with the toes turned under. Maybe it's a really good day for you and your feet are untucked and you're still reaching for the heels. Do what feels good for you. We're going to start with our pelvis tilted, pushing forward, rib cage lifting. The left hand is going to reach up and back. You can either keep your right hand at your sacrum or you can bring your right hand to your right heel. Toes can be tucked under or untucked, your choice. Keep pushing pubic bone forward, lifting rib cage up. No compression in the low back, and then breathe deeply. Come all the way back up, and we're just going to reverse the process for the left side. Both hands on your hips, tuck your tailbone under, push it forward, the pelvis I mean, and then reach your right arm up and back. Left hand can stay at the hip, or it can reach for the left heel. Toes can be tucked under or not. No compression in the low back. Breathe deeply. Come up from that. Pause for a moment. And then we're going to go for the full shebang. So it just depends on what your body can do this morning. We start the same way. Tuck the tailbone under, push the hips forward and lift the rib cage. Maybe both hands stay on your hips. Maybe they find your heels with your toes tucked under. Maybe they find your heels with your toes untucked. But try and keep thighs vertical, chest lifting. And of course, breathe deeply. Go ahead and come on out of that. If your toes were tucked under, untuck them. Put your bum onto your heels. Bring your knees together if you're able, and just slowly round down. Preferably traditional Badaknasana with a rounded back. Child's pose with your hands by your feet, palms up. If your knees can't handle it or your back can't handle it, please feel free to do extended child's pose with your arms out in front of you. Take a couple breaths. And then when you're ready, you're going to transition into plank and take your last vinyasa for today's practice. And as you get to this final downward facing dog, create as much space as possible. So last downward facing dog of today's practice is last opportunity for this supreme spine lengthening. Palms are flat, fingers are spread. You're pushing through your hands, broadening across the shoulders, reaching your hips up and back, pressing your heels down. And then you can just walk or jump your feet forward and have a seat with your legs extended. Finding your sit bones, taking a moment in traditional Dandasana, staff pose, with the spine straight and the legs engaged, to just check in, maybe even close your eyes, feel your body. Reconnect to your deep ujjayi breathing if you've lost that. Notice thoughts, emotions, energy, connection, and even recall the intention that you said at the beginning of class. And then on your next inhale, let's raise the arms up and overhead, stretch, and as you exhale, just try and lay your belly and chest out over your thighs. Imagine that you're going to hook the bottom of your chin on top of your toes. It'll change your posture. So we're not trying to hunch and round here. We're trying to lengthen forward initially. Take a couple of breaths. Make sure your shoulders don't sneak up by your ears. Now that we've lengthened a little bit, if you want, and if it feels okay in your body, you can come back up, tuck your chin into your chest, and start to round down or curl down over your thighs. We're going to come up from this. Keep your right leg straight. Bend your left knee. Bring that left foot to the inside of your right thigh and lean out over your right leg. Wherever your right hand is on your right foot, it's the perfect place. Or if it's your ankle, it's the perfect place. Or if it's your right calf, it's the perfect place. Keep your right hand wherever it is. Raise your torso up a little bit and take your left hand towards the ceiling. So you're kind of trying to roll your chest open like a lateral movement. When you get that, reach your left arm over your head, parallel to the ground. Push your left hip into the floor, reach through the left fingertips. You're going to feel this on the left side of your torso. If it feels okay, that left arm is going to go back up towards the ceiling and reach behind your back. Maybe you grab your right thigh, maybe not. Take one more breath. Come back up. Bring right foot up to meet left foot. Hands are directly behind your backside. Straight spine, knees pressed out to the side and down towards the ground. So Badaknasana, bound angle pose, also commonly called cobbler's pose, because the old cobblers in India would sit with a shoe between their feet as they were repairing it. And then from your bound angle, you're going to extend your left leg so your right foot can just stay where it is. Snug it into your left thigh. Right knee is bent. Just take a moment to lean out over your left leg. Wherever the left hand is, whether it is your foot, your ankle, or your calf, it's in the perfect place. Leave it there. Lift the torso slightly. Rotate your right hand up towards the ceiling to open the chest up laterally. Keep it open. Reach your right arm over your head. You want a straight right arm. You want to push your right hip into the ground and reach through the right fingertips to get that really nice stretch on the right side of your torso. If you want, that right hand can come up towards the ceiling, reach behind the back, and perhaps grab the left thigh. Take one more breath. And then we come on back up. Left foot meets right foot. This time we're going to keep the soles of the feet together, but slide them way out in front of us. You may either lengthen your spine forward, which means your chest and your face continue to point forward, or you may round forward, which means your forehead is moving towards your feet. Whichever one feels best for you, do that. But either way, we're kind of trying to nestle down between our thighs, either with a flat neutral spine or a slightly rounded back, depending upon your body this morning. Come on up from that. Extend your legs into a nice wide V. Make sure you're on your sit bones, that your ankles are active and flexed, so your toes are pointing straight up. You can keep your hands behind you. If your inner thighs are tight, this is a great thing to do, is to keep the hands behind you and just push your chest forward. So if you're feeling an inner thigh stretch when you do that, that's all you got to do. It is perfect. If you feel like you could do more or you need more, you can either grab your big toes or bring your hands onto the floor in front of you, but resist the urge to round your back. On this one, you really want to lengthen forward. If you need to visualize something, visualize your belly button, your chest, and your throat hitting the ground, not your forehead. Just a few more breaths here, and then you get to lie on your back. Go ahead and walk your hands back up. Bring your legs together. Give them a good wiggle. And then from here, you do get to lie on your back as promised. So go ahead and roll onto your back. Hug your knees in if you would like. Even rock side to side if you would like. I certainly never miss the opportunity to get a little quick cradle rock in. So good for the low back. And before we do any of our final twisting that precedes Shavasana, we're going to do our final little front hip and chest opener, just a traditional bridge today, but we'll be holding it and refining it a little. So what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and get your feet flat, big toes touching, heels are separated, and you want your heels as close to your backside as you can get them. Go ahead and start peeling your spine up off the mat, lifting the hips towards the ceiling. Keep the knees the same distance as the heels, please. If you're able, you can interlace your fingers underneath your backside. The forearms need to be straight, and you roll onto the back of the arms. So if your elbows are bent, this is not your position. Keep your hands flat by your hips. Once you get that, lift your sternum. So the rib cage is lifting, and then we start really driving through the heels, pushing through our heels to lift the hip bones and the pubic bone high. We're tucking our tailbone under. We're lifting our rib cage, really pressing. Keep doing this. You got a few more breaths. Push through the big toe side of the foot. Push through your heels. Press the hips up. Lift the rib cage. Breathe. And slowly lower down. Hug your knees into your chest. And of course, take that rock. So we're going to do a couple of different twists. Our first one is a little more dynamic, meaning we're moving with our breath. Just keep your knees bent and together and up in the air. So we're going to keep the feet off the ground. Open your arms out like a T with your palms up. So this is just going to settle your back down a little bit. On your next exhale, drop both knees over to the right. Inhale them back up. And exhale, drop both knees over to the left. So on this one, our feet are off the ground. It's not like that little hip roll that we do sometimes at the end of class. You're inhaling, legs all the way up in the air. Exhaling, full twist, dropping them all the way over to the right. Inhaling the legs back up. And exhaling and dropping them all the way over to the left. Full twist. One more time on each side. So when we do this kind of dynamic movement, the body just self-adjusts. We're not trying to be too particular about our form. We're just kind of letting our back find its way. And then when we come back to the center, we hug the knees. Now we can go a little deeper. We're going to keep the left knee hugged in and the right leg extends all the way out into the ground. So Padangusthasana, wind relieving pose. We pause here with this left knee hugged in. It releases the left side of the low back, in addition to helping intestines and digestion and all of that. Then we come into our twist to the right. You can either just let your bent left knee come in front of your right thigh, or you can hook the toes behind the thigh. It's up to you. Left arm is going to open out to the left, and we're going to gaze over the left shoulder if that feels okay in the body. Just take some nice slow breaths. Focusing at this point on releasing most effort. So there's only a small amount of effort required to be in this pose. We want to minimize our effort here. One more breath on this side. On your next inhale, come on back up, hug your left knee in. You can bring your right knee up to meet it. And then we're going to keep the right knee hugged in, extend that left leg all the way out. Wind relieving pose on the right. Right knee hugs in. This helps release the right side of the low back. In addition to all the internal organ benefits. And then from here, we transition into our twist to the left. You can either just let your bent right knee go across the left leg, or if you prefer, hook the toes inside or behind your left thigh. You're going to twist to your left, allow your head to turn to the right. And again, your emphasis here is releasing and surrendering. So minimizing the effort. You don't want to exert too much energy to be in the pose, just enough. Couple more breaths on this side. On your next inhale, come on up. Hug your right knee in as you exhale. Inhale and bring your left knee up to meet it. Exhale, hug it in. Side to side rock. Take maybe 4 or 5 breaths in Happy Baby or any other pose that you feel like you need to get yourself prepared for your Shavasana. So feel free to move around and wiggle a little or not, your choice. When you feel like you're ready, feet will come to the mat, knees will drop open with the soles of the feet together. We'll just lengthen the low back a tiny bit and then slide our way into Shavasana. So on your next inhale, remove the curve from your low back. And you do that by tilting your pelvis back. Or you can think of it as pressing your navel down towards the mat. The knees are still wide, soles of the feet are together. It really is kind of a minimal effort, but you should have no lumbar curve. Take one more breath here. And then on your next exhale, if you relax the body, you'll notice the low back will arch again. That's natural. You want that. And then you can just extend your legs, separate the feet a little or a lot, whatever feels good to you. Lengthen your spine, relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, close your eyes, take a huge breath in through the nose. And a big exhale through the mouth. Allow your body to just settle in to Shavasana. So earlier, as we were doing our reclined spinal twist, we were talking about minimal effort. Shavasana is literally 0 effort. I want you to take a moment and use your breath like a searchlight, ferreting out anywhere in your body that there is tension or effort and letting it go. It's completely unnecessary. So be diligent. Look at every body part. Is there anywhere that you can relax a little more, a little deeper? When you feel as though you've made it all the way through the body and there's truly no remaining tension, then focus on the breath and make sure that there is zero effort there. I know when I was doing live classes, I would frequently say that, let go of control of the breath. And I would still hear somebody somewhere in the room continuing their ujjayi breathing. So once we get into that habit and we're doing it throughout practice, sometimes it's hard to let it go, but we must. When we hit Shavasana, we're no longer doing yoga breathing. We're not even participating in the breathing. We're just allowing the breath to occur. So pause here and make sure that that's the case for you today. And then finally, turn your attention to your mind. Before we're able to gain complete control of our mind, we have to also learn to detach from it. So when we identify really strongly with our thoughts and think that we are our thoughts and or that our thoughts are real, it's impossible to have any control over the thoughts and the mental state, and hence the emotional state. So the first thing we do is distance ourselves. And so again, let go. Truly, zero effort now. When it comes to the mind, at this point, we are not trying to exert control. We're simply stepping away, walking away, as it were, from the thoughts and any involvement in them. We're just not participating. So the mind is just busy and it's just doing its thing, but we've stepped back. We're observing, not at all participating in the flow of thoughts. So we're not initiating thoughts and we're not resisting thoughts. We're just curiously observing them. And then we notice that from this place of observation, of simply being a witness, of zero effort, surprise, that's where the peace exists. And we've let go of physical tension. No effort to control the body. We've let go of the breath. No effort to control the breath. We've even let go of any effort to control the mind. We've simply stepped back to observe these things. We can observe our relaxed body. We can observe our beautiful, soft, even breath that we have nothing to do with. We can observe our thoughts that are just doing what they do. And we're just watching. And from this place of detached observation, we can find peace. It's like stepping out of the fray. So for just a few more moments, simply rest in that state. Just breathe and let it be enough. And just begin to bring a little movement back to the body. Begin to take back control of your breath by deepening it. Recognizing that you do have control over these things anytime you choose to exert it, but how sweet it is to sometimes just let go of all of it. Take a deeper inhale, spread the fingers and toes. As you exhale through your mouth, relax your fingers and toes. And then as you take an even deeper breath in, just stretch. Full body stretch and exhale. The nice contented side, you relax again. Bend your knees, either hugging them in or just letting the feet be flat on the mat. Roll to your right side. And then just press yourself up into sitting. As you come to your seated position, find your straight spine. Roll your shoulders back. Make sure that you feel tall and straight and aligned and that your head is balancing on top of your shoulders. And so now, having let go of all that control of our breath, we're going to take it back for our breath practice. So our pranayama today is going to be a really simple ujjayi breath, and I would like for you to do it as a 1-1-2 ratio breath. That means we're going to hold our breath in the lungs, but we're not going to do the external retention. So it's just the first 3 parts of the breath. So whatever you inhale, which preferably is a slow, deep ujjayi inhale, you will then hold your breath without crazy struggle for the same length. And then you're going to exhale for twice as long. So if I were to inhale for 4 seconds, I would hold my breath for 4 seconds and exhale for 8. Or inhale for 6, hold for 6, exhale 12. Whatever your number is, do that. All right? So off you go. 1-1-2 ujjayi ratio breathing. As you finish out the breath you're on, allow your breath to return to normal. Bring your palms together in front of your heart, taking a moment to honor your practice this morning, to honor the physical opening, strengthening, and lengthening, to honor perhaps the mental opening, the emotional opening, and if we are fortunate, the spiritual opening. Take a moment in gratitude for any benefit that you received from your practice this morning. Gratitude that you have an entire day spreading out before you. One more huge breath in through the nose. Big sigh. Palms to our foreheads, reminding us to be present. Palms to the lips, reminding us to speak our truth. And palms to the heart, reminding us to keep our hearts open, to always practice kindness, compassion, and love. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.